Out with the old, in with the new. We're talking 2024 Toronto real estate for first-time buyers. In this week's videos, we're going to talk about predictions. And yeah, predictions, they're cheap. They don't mean too much. But I thought, I give my honest thoughts and what I think may happen in the Toronto real estate market for 2024. And of course, it's a fun, educated guess, not financial advice. But based on all these different things, I'm going to put my 2 cents on the table to see what I think is going to happen in the Toronto real estate market over the next 12 months. Do I think prices are going to go up? Do I think prices are going to go down? Do I think there's going to be a major shift in the Toronto real estate market? You've got to watch the video to find out. But before we begin, my name is Gabriele Battista from Homes into Reality. I'm a Toronto real estate agent with a passion of working with young Canadians and first-time buyers and getting them into home ownership and educating them on that first-time buying process every single week. So if you'd like to hear that, that's something you're interested in, or if you want to buy your very first home in Toronto in 2024 and beyond, subscribe, like the video, comment what you want to see more of in 2024, and in my description you'll have a phone number, my email, and a link to book a call with me there so you can reach out about your first time buying goals there. We're going to go over 3 different sections of my predictions on the Toronto real estate market. And then once again, these are predictions. This is not set in stone. They're not verbatim. I actually would be shocked if none of this is wrong. There likely will be some errors in my predictions, but it's something that I want to put out there because it shows you the way I analyze the market in a lot of these cases. We're going to be going over the rate, the Bank of Canada rates, what's going to be happening to those rates, because that's a big talking point nowadays. We're going to talk about demand and supply, so the properties selling on the market and the properties coming on the market are pretty big numbers. And we're also going to go finish off with prices. Everyone cares about prices, and we're going to talk about what I think prices are going to be doing in 2024. So when starting with the Bank of Canada interest rates expectations, this is what the Bank of Canada announced every few months and how they're going to change their old overnight lending rate. That has a drastic effect on variable rates, not a direct effect on fixed rates, but it is a big indicator on what the economy looks like. If they're raising rates, they actually want to slow down the economy. If they're cutting rates, the economy is already slowing down and suffering. A lot of people look at these rates in the sense of, if the rates are going down, market's going to go back up. I don't necessarily believe that, but I do think it's important to note what's going to be happening with rates as time goes on. If we look at what the experts are saying right now, there's a couple of reports I've looked at. I know that TD has mentioned by 2025, they expect that the Bank of Canada will be cutting its policy rate down to 2.25 by 2025, which is a drastic cut considering the current rate right now is at 5%. So TD is calling for a pretty drastic cut in interest rates. Nesto is another mortgage lending company. They're predicting the exact opposite. They're actually thinking that the Bank of Canada will hold their overnight rate at a much slower pace. They're going to drop it a little bit slower. They think by the end of 2024, they only will cut 50 basis points, which is only 0.5%. In other thoughts, the one reliable source that I tend to look at is a trading tool with I believe it's the Montreal Exchange. And you'll see over here, they're expecting by the end of 2024, there's a 72% chance that rates are 150 basis points lower, so 1.5% lower. So that's what experts are saying. They think, some of them thinking that rates are going to drop really quickly. Some of them think rates are going to drop much slower. My gut probably would be more on the conservative side, where they think that rates are going to drop a little bit slower than people think. If you look at 2023 as an example, rates, everyone thought, okay, this is the end of rate hikes, and there was a couple of sessions where they paused rate hikes, and they thought they were going to drop, and then they had 2 more rate hikes kind of come out of nowhere. So I think the Bank of Canada has said that they are very cautious on cutting interest rates. They want to be as cautious as possible. They don't want to, they want to stay longer if they can. They want higher interest rates for a longer period of time. So my gut tells me that they're probably going to cut rates a little bit lower, maybe 100 basis points by the end of the year. But it won't be a situation where we're going to see rates cut 250 basis points and back down to where we were years past in 2020. So I think they're going to be slow and steady when they do lower the interest rates. And you'll see fixed rates and bond yields affect that as well. So you'll see that maybe the fixed rates will come down. I don't think they're going to be coming down drastically to where people think that they can buy again and prices are going to go through the roof. I think last year's a pretty cautionary tale in the sense that when we thought that, or at least a lot of professionals, people in the industry, even other real estate agents were proclaiming that rates were going to drop in 2023. That was in the middle of 2023 and prices really started shooting up. People thought that was the end of interest rates being raised, and they thought that the market was going to, go back up and go crazy. And when that started to happen, very shortly afterwards, they raised rates again on both the variable side, and bond yields also went up. So I think that's a good sign to say, like, even though people are thinking that this great news can happen, I think they're going to be very cautionary, the Bank of Canada, and I think they're going to be slow and steady to make sure that the financial impacts do happen in the Canadian economy. But frankly, if you're using the Bank of Canada's overnight rate as your major and primary indicator on if you're going to be buying in this real estate market or not, I would tell you it's probably not the market for you. It's not something that the moment rates go down that prices go up. I think it's not something you can time. So I would caution you to look at this as your major indicator on whether you should be buying your first home or not. Now, moving on to supply and demand of the Toronto real estate market. And in Cole's notes, what this really means is your supply in the market is the new listings coming onto market or your active listings in the market. So the amount of properties that are there for you to buy. And then for demand, I like to use sales as a typical number. So the amount of people that are coming to a seller and they're agreeing on a price and they're buying at a realistic market value price point. One of my safer predictions, in my opinion, is that both demand and supply are both going to be going up in 2024. More supply would definitely come into the market for a couple of reasons. The major indication that I've been looking at is towards the end of the year, actually, if you see active inventory, how high it was towards the end of the year. A lot of those properties haven't sold, but they did come off the market. So if by the end of the year, a lot of people wanted to sell their properties or were on the market, but then they took it off the market without selling, my best guess is that a lot of these properties will be coming back to the market in early spring. So I think there will be an influx of supply. I think there will definitely be more than last year for that indication, because if they haven't sold and they were motivated to sell then, they're probably going to be motivated to sell in the spring. The second thing that I'm looking at is there's going to be more renewals coming up in 2024. When people were getting mortgages at very low rates in 2020, 2021, even a little bit in 2022, a lot of times they got caught up in a 3-year fixed, a 5-year fixed. And with those rates, we're going to see a lot of those renewals come up for sellers or for homeowners. And with homeowners getting higher rates on renewal end, they likely are going to have a hard time affording those new higher interest rate payments, and they may have to sell their property. So with those indications, I believe there will be a good influx of supply, especially if you compare it to earlier last year. We really didn't see a ton of supply in the market. We were struggling to see a lot of new listings, which is why we had a later spring market in May. But I think in the months of February, March, April, we're going to see more listings than we saw in months past or in years past. Now, when it comes to demand, I also think that's going to be going up as well. I think there's going to be more properties that are selling in 2024 than they were in 2023. For context, if we look at the GTA, in 2023, we had, not including December stats because we haven't gotten them yet, we had just under 62,000 properties sold. Let's say it bumps up to about 65, 68,000. That's how many properties sold in 2023. If you compare that to 2022, we had 75,049 listings sell in 2022. So both lower numbers. But if we look at the historical data, which we'll give for the past 10 years here, from 2021, we had 121,000 listings sell. The year before that, in 2020, 95,000 listings sold. Then we had 87,000, and so on and so forth. You're still over here. The trend to look at this is we're usually, when it comes to yearly sales in real estate, we're around to average in the high 80s number. We're usually in the high 80s to low 90s as an average amount of properties selling. If we look at the past 2 years being so volatile, we definitely had much less sales going on. I think if we take a step towards stability in the market, we're going to get more people transacting. Now, are we going to get 120 people transacting like we did in 2021? I don't think so. Higher interest rates are going to affect affordability. Less people will be in the market, but there still always will be people who are transacting in the market, where there likely, in my opinion, will be more demand than in 2023 and 2022. So if we look in combination, supply is up, demand is up. You may ask, what am I thinking about prices? And that's exactly it. With the fact that demand and supply are both going up, in my opinion, a significant amount, they should even out each other. I think what I'm looking towards prices in 2024 is a little bit more stability. I don't see prices really dropping, crashing a significant amount. Could be wrong, could be right, who knows. But I also don't see prices shooting up and being ridiculous in 2024 as well. In the past 2 years, we saw a lot of spikes in real estate prices, specifically with 2022 in February, prices shot up. And then in May of 2023, prices really shot up. So my gut tells me we're going to avoid those drastic increases in price. And I think we're going to follow a little bit more of a seasonal situation where we might see some stable growth in 2024, but nothing that's significant, nothing that's going to be that's going to reenact, let's say, the stock markets where prices are shooting up, shooting back down. We're going to go back to some, I think, stability in price growth. And like I mentioned before, there's been enough hurt in the market over the past 2 years where people made really stupid real estate purchases at the very peaks of the market. And I think there's been enough horror stories out there where the market to go up to that significant degree anytime soon, I just don't see it happening. I think people have made a lot of mistakes out there, and they know that, if I gotta really overpay for a house, is it really worth it at these higher interest rates too? So my gut tells me that we're really not going to see a crazy amount of growth in real estate prices, and in the end, in my opinion, that's actually a decent thing. It's crazy to think that, do you really want to buy a house for the sake of, maybe I want to live in this house. Maybe this house is for me to live in, raise a family, start a career, have some stability in where I'm living. And for me, that's a good thing, especially when it felt like over the past few years, it's become a stock market investment where people want to buy, they want to sell high, buy low, and it got very, very messy. And I think those days are likely behind us. And I think in conjunction with interest rates coming down a little bit slower, in conjunction with more supply, more demand, I think prices relatively will stay flat. What's probably a likely case is in the springtime, maybe February and March, prices will go up a little bit. They won't, I don't think they'll shoot up, but I think they're going to go up, have some growth during those very busy months when people tend to buy real estate most of the time. Demand's usually at its highest as well. And I think as we get into the summer months, prices probably will stabilize, maybe come down a little bit. And by the time we're at the end of the year, we're not going to see drastic and huge growth in prices. And we may even be where we were in 2023, where we started real estate prices in one spot, they ended up going up over here. And by the end of the year, they came right back down to where they started. But with predictions, tell me why I'm wrong. I'm sure one of these things are wrong or widely out there. And who knows, maybe prices crash, maybe prices go up. That's the beauty of predictions, as we don't have a crystal ball. We don't really know. So I put my thoughts out there, and the best thing to do is study the market on a weekly and monthly basis. If you are someone who's going to get into the Toronto real estate market in 2024, you want to reach out to me. My phone number, my email, and link to book a call with me is all in the description below. I send out my clients every single month an overall recap of what's going on in the market. So even if you're going to be buying in 6 months to a year, you can stay up to date on what's going on in the market on a very up-to-date basis, very active basis, where you can live your life and let me do all the heavy lifting. And then, of course, come back every single week for more videos about the Toronto real estate market. So when you're ready to make that first big move, you can do so educated and with confidence. And I'm here by your side to help you buy that first home. Enjoy the rest of 2024. We got a long way to go. Take care. Bye.